What about cycling and endurance rowers? Nonsense, garbage, or genius? Well, that's what we're going to get into a little bit here. And if you are interested in working with us and getting a one-on-one, go ahead and click that link down below and sign up for a strategy session. That'll give you 1 hour with us, with one of us, to go over your individual circumstances, because this is a nuanced approach that you have to take to all of this stuff. Not everybody is going to be the exact same. All of us are a little unique. Granted, the majority of us have 2 arms, 2 legs, and a core. That doesn't mean that all strength training is created equal and should be applied to you the exact same way as everybody else. That's typically how at least 20% of the population gets really torn apart and injured. So anyway, cycling and rowing, you know, what is great and what might be so great about these things, or what to take into consideration when you are choosing your workout regimen. Well, from the standpoint of the cardiac benefits, yes. I mean, duh. Like, cycling obviously has a place. Rowers obviously have a place. I don't think that is a huge contest. However, what I would say is, from a con standpoint, is we do tend to, like, most people aren't sitting on not enough. Like, most people are sitting enough. They don't need to sit more when they exercise. So in a rower, you're in a seated position, and when you're on a bike, you're in a seated position. Your back is flexed. Most of us don't do well in a flexed position. Like, the majority of your injuries will come from spending too much time in a flexed position. So that's what I would say would be like the most immediate, obvious contention to rowers and cycling. Now, another thing to consider is if you have a lot of chronic low back pain and you're adding tons and tons of repetition to that flexion extension of your low back, probably not the greatest idea in the world. You know, there's probably better ways to do it. So I definitely think that if you are somebody who sits at a desk all day, getting up and going for a walk or a jog is probably a little bit better. But there's a plethora of other ways that you can get your cardio, especially, and I don't just mean high intensity interval training or alactic training. What I'm meaning is steady state for, 15, 30, 45 minutes, where your heart rate is staying between 120 and 140 beats per minute. Walking and jogging and cycling and rowing are not your only options. You have a ton of other options. For instance, one of the ways that I like to do it is I just pull this sled right over here. So I put a strap across my hips and I just drag it down and I push it back and I drag it down. It's essentially walking, but there's a little bit more hip involved there. There's a little bit more core involved there. I get some upward rotation to my shoulder. I'm getting all the way down through my calf. I'm getting a different angle. That's one of the ways that I really like to do my 30 to 45 minutes of steady state cardio, instead of going out and beating myself up with tons and tons of volume on my knees, or staying in long periods of time in that flex position with the low back, or doing a rower, which, if you're one of those people that has a lower back like mine that's just been beat up over the years, because lower backs aren't one of those things that, like, for one, the bones can heal, the vertebrae can heal. However, some people kind of have like a natural proclivity to moving. All of us have a natural kind of way that we move, and a lot of us have accumulated a lot of damage in the first 20 years, 30 years of our life that you're going to be paying for later. So now you can mitigate quite a bit of that by coming in and doing something like what we do at Grit, but still the threat is kind of always there. The setup is always there. The natural, like, it's you can slip into these bad patterns very easily. So something like a rower for somebody that has a lot of chronic low back issues isn't going to be a great idea. So anyway, the nuance of is it good or is it bad is not like so clear with this kind of stuff. If you're somebody that has a rock solid back and you have really good hips, a rower is going to be great. If you're somebody that tolerates flexion for long periods of time, cycling is going to be great. If you're somebody that just lives in extension, like your low back really has a nice big curve to it, then you can probably handle cycling. If you're somebody that has a lot of back issues, get off of the bike, get off of the rower. It's pretty simple. If you're somebody that has a lot of hip issues, get off of the bike, get off of the rower. If you have a lot of knee issues, running is probably not going to be the greatest idea in the world. I know we're talking about cycling here, but these are just a few thoughts, a little perspective around the knees and the hips and the low back of when it comes to these steady state cardio mediums, because you're gonna spend a ton of repetitions in these. So if you consider that one repetition is 10 seconds, and you're gonna go for a 30-minute bike ride, you'd have to do the math, but that's a lot of repetitions on your low back. If you are gonna do 30 minutes of a rower, that's a lot of repetitions on your low back. If you're gonna go jogging, you know, a 5'7" person is probably gonna take somewhere around like 1,800 steps a mile. Someone who's 6 foot tall is probably gonna take closer to like 1,400 steps for a mile to run. So you gotta think that's a certain amount of pounding on your feet and a certain amount of pounding on your knees. So you have to just take that into consideration when you're figuring it out. And humans are cardiac monsters. This is like one of the very few things that we do in the animal kingdom that's like better than everybody else, is we can keep a galloping pace for an extremely long period of time. So humans hold on to their cardiac medium for a very, very long time. You only need about 1 day a week of steady state cardio, and you should not be getting more than that. Just get your 1 day a week, because that's already probably a little bit too much. So if you're one of those people that thinks you need to go out and run 5 miles every night, you could just, you know, find a better medium that can save your joints, and your skin will improve, your hormones will improve, your endocrine system will improve, your muscles will improve, your strength will improve, your everything will improve by doing a more nuanced approach like this. If you're interested in sitting down and working with us, go ahead and grab one of those strategy sessions down below. You just click the button, enter your information, send it in to us, we give you a call. Anyway, little thoughts on cycling and rowing. Are they good? Are they bad? It's nuanced. Everything, almost everything is nuanced. Anyway, hope you click that link down below.